Hey, good evening, everyone. So we are there. We are back for another episode of Entrepreneur Stories. And once again, I'm with my partner in crime, Nikita, and we have for tonight a special guest, Karthik. So the theme for today is going to be work, entrepreneurship, and relationship. So that's going to be the topic for tonight. And to talk about that topic and to share on that topic, we have a special guest, Karthik. Karthik, can we start just by introducing yourself, please?
Hey, hi Tevin, hi Nikita. Thank you so much, first of all, for the invitation. I'm so privileged and I'm excited as well to share some of the value adds from my this topic today. And I can see some people joining from different countries. And hi all. I hope you're all doing good. Thank you for joining. So to brief about myself, I am Karthik and I'm from India, a place called Bangalore. It's a IT capital. Of the South India, right? And I'm born and brought up in Bangalore itself. I have more than a decade of experience in software. So by background, I am an engineer. So I did my electronics engineering, but into software by profession, and by passion, I am in relationship growth coach at Growth Express. So in association with PIM, and that's where we I met Nikita as well.
So yeah, I met Karthik with Growth Express and PIM, and it's very interesting the whole concept of relationships, because I grew up with the mindset that you don't mix work and your personal life, so you keep your personal life as a watertight compartment and work as watertight compartment. However, as we do know, we're human beings, and it is, for me at least, not possible to just leave my personal issues at home. As the second I set foot outside that door, it doesn't happen that, okay, everything's back home and I'm going to go into work, business, whatever you're doing, or your professional life, and just forget about everything that's going on at home. um, this obviously, I understand the importance of this as an emotional intelligence trainer as well. And the concept, as I wrote in the invite for today's event, really hit me first ages ago. Well, not ages ago, but about a decade ago, when I was teaching a 4-year-old boy. I was reading a story with him, and the way he defined love, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but the quick definition for him, for a 4-year-old child, of love was: love is what makes you smile even when you're tired. And that's when I realized, yeah, we try and separate professional life from personal life. And as wise or not wise that might be, I'm no one to comment. Well, that's a big thing to comment on right now. But I'm just thinking that, yeah, what is it that keeps you going? And for me, certainly, um, knowing that I'm supported at home by people I love. It does not have to be, if you're not married, it does not have to be your spouse, but someone who loves you, is there to support you, kind of made me feel, yeah, relationships are important. And that's when, well, I was having this discussion with Tevin, and we thought it'd be very interesting to get a relationship coach today to talk about the importance of relationships. So yeah, Karthik, I don't want to make it too wide, because otherwise we'll never finish. So just probably out of respect of time, maybe we can stick to today personal relationships, and next time we can talk about how we build or cultivate those professional relationships as well. Tevin, unless you have anything else to add at this stage, maybe we can, is it okay that we stick to personal relationships right now?
Yeah, that's completely fine. I'm really looking forward to hear um, what Karthik has to share with us for sure.
Okay, Karthik, I don't know if you want to make a comment again about the Wheel of Life, because last time we talked about Wheel of Life and how relationships are important for our overall well-being. And then, yeah, do you want to comment on that, please?
Yeah, definitely, Nikita. So, would you want me to share the Wheel of Life picture for you guys?
Yeah, if you can share it. Otherwise, I have it with me and I can share it as well. Are you able to share it?
Okay, let me try sharing it.
Okay.
So, are you guys able to see this?
Not just yet.
Okay, you are still not able to see?
Yeah, now we can. Now it's good. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So I think continuing to last week's talk, we had my wife Sahana spoke about her health, right? So this wheel of life has 8 spokes, and if you quickly see, there's passion, there is health, there is money, there is relationship, spouse, personal growth, lifestyle, significance. So these are the 8 spokes what we have in this wheel of life, and this was given by our PIM founder Vijay. He is the executive director at John Maxwell's team. So this 8 spokes, so he always insists this is like a basis and the foundation for whatever we are doing and wherever we are going. So whatever work we are doing, is it aligning to this wheel of life? I mean, at the end, is your wheel looking like a circle? Or for some people, I mean, when I started, it was like it was not a circle at all. It was like a square, right? So for some people, it can be a hexagon, octagon, whatever, right? So it has to be, I mean, it has to look like a circle, right? So, and in this relationship plays a very important role, I would say. So I'll just stop sharing it. Yeah. So this is about small intro about this wheel of life and elements of it, Nikita.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So thanks for reminding us about the wheel of life. And yes, it is important that we have a balanced life as opposed to just focusing on one aspect. It could be career for some people, it could be money for some people. And yeah, running after one and ignoring the others will get your life overall imbalanced. So, Karthik, to just make it very, very practical, let's start with how do you, well, probably how as well as why, a little bit of build those relationships. And then we also talk about the importance of why. Why are those relationships important? Because the audience today that we have are people who are either entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. So for them, why is it important? You know, when you're starting a business, it's also, you're so busy, everything is taking your time, and you really need to right now invest more time at home with your spouse or a romantic partner or a very close friend. So why should you do that if you recommend that we should, and how shall we go about it?
Definitely, Nikita, it's a very valid question because we are busy in our entrepreneurial life or our job, career, whatever it is, right? So, to tell you about this, I want to tell a little bit story about my journey, right?
Mhm.
And probably it will add some pointers to this, right? So, if you see my background, like my father was a businessman, so he had his own business, and my mother was a homemaker, right? So, as you said, my dad also was very busy in his business and trying to improve it, making money for the family, making ends meet, all those things, right? So, at the end of the day, I mean, if I see the relationship between my parents, it was good but not great, I would say. Right. So my mother always used to share her feelings. She used to express them to me and my sister, and it was like very evident being at home, right? So, and even those relationships, if I could see within my family or within my known circles, right? And nobody had great relationships, I would say, right? So this was there at the back of my mind, right? And my mother, on the other hand, she was very good. She was a very people's person, right? I would say. And even during her last days, she had so many friends from her school or from her college days, right? They're still hanging around with her. That was, and she used to maintain all the good relationship within the family. And and within our family, she was like extreme, very good in that area, I would say, right? So I always was like, I was not like that. So for me, if you give a laptop, if you give a software, I can do my work as an individual contributor, I can say. But if you give me like 4 people to talk with, it would be like a crowd to me. I wouldn't handle them, right? And even if people come home, right, I will be on my own. I don't bother, I care like whether how they are doing or what they are doing, right? So it is like that. So I slowly, like during, I think when I was 3 years experienced in my career, right? So I came across this friend, and she was dating this guy from her college, and they had a very good relationship as a couple, right? And they both were having their own business as well, right? So this couple helped. I mean, I learned a lot on relationships from this couple, right? That was like a big starting point for me for to slowly shift from just a techie guy and to become a people oriented person as well. Okay, so and this continued. I mean, those learnings, from those learnings, I what I found out was where are the gaps. Like if I see there are some relationship gaps at home or outside, right? I was able to make out what was the gap. Okay, so earlier I was not able to make out. Right now I have the knowledge. I was able to make out where is the gap and why is that gap actually, right? So I read some two important books during that time, as my friend recommended. That is Five Love Languages and Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So before my marriage, I read these books and I was like, okay, now I know. Okay, the player is ready for the game, right? It was kind of like that. So right after marriage, at least like 1 or 2 years, that love will be there. It will overtake everything, right? So it is just opposite to how the rocket works. So if you see the rocket, the lot of energy is spent during the takeoff, right? But in case of marriage, this love overtakes everything. But after 2 years, uh, I mean, love is needed, but in addition to love, there is so many other things which is also needed, right? It can be understanding, it can be time, it can be harmonious relationship. So many things also matter, right? So that is when I had another problem, right? I was growing in my career, Sana was growing in her career, but we were not able to spend that quality time together, right? Because of, right, in a week we spend 40 to 50 hours of work physically, and sometimes the mental engine will still be running even during the weekend, right? So it is like a weekend to weekend relationship. It had become like that. But I was actually inside me, I was not so happy because my vision was big and I had certain goals to achieve, and I wanted to achieve it together, right? So if I work along with my spouse, otherwise there will be like arguments for every. I mean, there will be petty fights which I don't like. So we were not growing as a couple, okay, and we were not spending the quality time together. And that is when I came across this Growth Express and PIM. It gave a lot of learnings which took it to the next level, right? So that's how we were able to find her niche, and I was able to find my niche here, right? And in conversation with Kiran, I think Kiran was here in this virtual stage a few weeks back. So we started talking in the book clubs, me and Sana, and that's how I was able to find out, okay, this is my strength area which I can focus upon, and that's how we are able to together work harmoniously towards our goals.
Okay. So from what I understand, I think what your mom shared with you gave you an insight into why is it essential that partners in a relationship validate each other, because otherwise, no matter how much you're bringing in to the family, you're doing for the family, if the other person does not feel emotionally validated, then they're bound to kind of look for that validation elsewhere. And luckily for her, she sought that validation in her children. But we see a lot of people who feel incomplete in their relationships, feel stressed, feel burnt out because there is that emotional validation is what is missing. Also, as you described your journey, I could see that you sharing your goals with your partner, with your wife, made it kind of clearer for you as well where your strengths lie and where you want to go with this. And I think this is something that I do agree with and value, that when you discuss these kind of things with your partner, they feel that they are involved in the business or your career. Now for me and my partner, our careers are completely different. I don't understand anything about what he does. But the fact that he cares to share that with me makes me feel valued. So and he talks about work. He talks purely about work and nothing else. To me, it's not like he's asking for advice or anything. Nonetheless, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel that okay, I am probably, he thinks that I'm worthy of it, worthy of sharing those insights with me. Otherwise, I have seen couples where one person feels that they are kind of better off intellectually, financially, in any all kinds of ways than the other person. And if this person talks to that person, this person's not going to get anything, so they don't even bother talking about things. They'll talk about is, so what did the kids do today, what have you cooked today, and that's it. And then this person kind of feels, okay, well, this is my position in this relationship, that is where I belong. Whereas when the other person, at least for me, this is how I feel, when my partner shares all these scientific discoveries with me, I understand nothing of it, but I feel like, oh, okay, he thinks I'm worthy of this, he thinks I understand, and that's great. That just makes me feel important in that relationship. um, we have a great question from Vanessa. Vanessa is asking, what do you mean by emotional validation? And I guess I'll let Karthik throw light upon this. But for me, emotional validation just means that whatever I do at home or whatever I have done, and to be honest, a lot of times I do nothing. And I jokingly say to my partner that, you know what, my back is really hurting because I was in the sofa all day today watching Netflix. And he's worked 8 hours, 10 hours and comes home tired. And he still says, okay, sweetie, do you want me to give you a massage? Now, for me, that is validation because, to be honest, I have done nothing. And he could just yell at me saying, how dare you? I was slogging my backside there at work so that I could earn some money for the family. And all you've done today is watch Netflix 8 hours. That is ridiculous. But he's never said that to me. If he wants to make a suggestion, it comes out politely. But for me, emotional validation is, even if I'm feeling elated or I'm feeling low, instead of saying, but why the hell are you feeling this way? You should be grateful for what you've got in life. He validates what I feel and then sometimes makes suggestions, sometimes just listens. And I think a lot of problems in this world would be solved not by solving the problems, by just listening to one another. So for me, that's emotional validation. The other person caring to ask me, how was your day? I have done nothing at home. I am sitting in the sofa, but when he comes home and asks me, sweetie, how was your day? That makes me feel good. So that's emotional validation to me. Karthik and Tevin, I would like to hear your opinion as well.
Yeah, definitely, Nikita. So I go with this point. Yeah. So sometimes, like we men usually, right? We give suggestions, right? So sometimes if women tell something, right? So we will be like, okay, you could have done this, you could have done that. Need not be right. I mean, majority of the times the girls need not. I mean, they just want our 2 years to them. That's all, right? So if you just listen to them, right, and not just for the sake of it, right, keep I mean, we have this mobile phones and we'll be like, yeah, I'm listening. No, it not be like that, right? You can keep your mobile phone aside and make her feel that you're truly listening to her, right? So that itself, I mean, can be a validation in it. And if you want to repeat it, like if, as she was telling, if she has a backache, and if you repeat the same, oh, you have backache, is it? So just that repetition itself is kind of a validation, I would say.
Yeah. Tevin?
Actually, I had like a question. So this is where the from the man to the lady. So how does the lady validate the state of the man? Because this is like we think about like a situation where the man will have like the better financial professional position, but they are in 21st century. I'm
Yeah.
sure there are also lots of cases where actually the women has actually or better or at least a really comfortable professional situation. So on that side, what kind of advice would you give?
Yeah.
Karthik, do you
So I
want to go first? Yeah.
Yeah, surely Gita. So now it's like the table has turned, right? Yeah. So men also, I mean, there is that homework to be done by women as well. So when uh, man, I mean, we have something called five love languages. Okay,
Yeah.
so these five love languages can be. I mean, this is by a very good book from Gary Chapman, right? So this was a real eye opener for me, right? And especially the last exercise. So every person, every individual will have a love language. It can be a guy or it can be a girl, right? So what the girl's love language can be same as the guys, or it can be different as well. Okay, I just take an example. Okay, among these five love languages, we have one called quality time and other called act of service, right? So the women in a house can be in need of a quality time, right? So if the man comes home, right, so she needs him to spend time with her. Okay, for the guy it can be act of service, right? So it need not be quality time. So if, for the woman it is quality time, but she, I mean, the quality time cannot be used for, same towards the man, because he wants acts of service, right? Act of service in the sense, as soon as he comes home, he wants the lady, for example, to take whatever belongings he has, or to get to make food ready for the dinner, or whatever kind of service, right? So he is looking for that service, right, from the lady. Okay, so if we understand those two languages, what the guy wants from the girl, what the girl wants from the guy, so that itself is a great thing to know that fact. Yeah.
I was actually going to list out the five love languages, if you don't mind. And maybe I was trying to type, but Tevin, maybe you can type them for us. So, and this is a book from Gary Chapman and Ross Campbell, if I'm not wrong. So, the five love languages are physical touch, words of affirmation. I'll talk about all of them. Physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and gifts. Okay, and all of us have one predominant love language, and we all respond to all five of them, but one of them is the preferred love language. Now, what Gary Chapman is talking about, he wisely calls them love language, because if you love someone, but if you don't speak their language, then they're never going to know that you love them. Well, they'll know, but it's not going to be the same. So it's like me telling my husband in a language that he does not speak that I love you, and it's not going to be as effective. So if I want to communicate with my husband that I love him, I need to speak his language and his love language. So, from the five love languages, now physical touch, for some people, having just that little, hey, how are you? Or that peck on the cheek is great. That shows that physical contact, sitting close to him in the sofa, is something that would make him feel loved and cared for. So I'm talking two ways now. Tevin, to answer your question, even what I was saying, I was giving my personal example, but both parties, man or woman, or if you're in the same-sex marriage, it does not matter. Both parties can do this for each other. So speaking of love languages, yeah, physical touch. If your partner loves that physical contact, giving that physical contact to them is something that would make them feel good. That's the way of you showing that I care for you. Another one was words of affirmation. Now, my partner responds to this really well. He likes me to tell him not just the constant "I love you, baby." It's more of affirming that. What he's doing is working for me, and he likes me to have that conversation with him. And that's words of affirmation, just kind of confirming, talking, giving positive feedback. And even if you are giving negative feedback, being very careful of how you structure it, because these are people who respond to language, actual language words really well. So using your words wisely. Quality time, as we all know, spending good amount of time not on your phone, but doing something that the other person enjoys doing. My partner enjoys board games. If I spend time playing board games with him, he knows I love him. That's the way I would show my way of showing him that I love you. Again, acts of service is doing something for them. Now, if I know my partner's coming home late, I would do his laundry for him, or I would cook a meal for him. That's doing something for him to show that I care. And vice versa, receiving gifts and some people respond to gifts really well. When I go away, now my mother-in-law responds to gifts really well. Every time I go away, I bring a fridge magnet for her without fail. And that's my way of showing her, when I was away, I was still thinking about you. So everyone has a different love language, and recognizing their love language, asking them is not the way to go about it. Definitely don't ask them, by the way, what's your love language? What should I do for you? That's not how it's going to work. But, you recognize what, and the best way I think to recognize what the other person's love language is to see what they do. Because I recognize my mother-in-law's love language was gifts, because every time she comes to visit me, I have never seen her coming empty-handed. And not just to me, no matter who she's visiting, where she's going, she'll always take something for someone. So I know if that's how she expresses love, that's probably how she would like to receive love as well. My daughter, she likes physical contact. So when you observe how people express their love, that's probably how they would like to receive love as well, and you respond to them in their language, they would feel loved. So yeah, in short, coming back to your question, Tevin, yes, it does not matter who plays what role, who's the breadwinner and who's not, because in today's world, yeah, we don't have set defined roles, as the woman has to be in the kitchen and the man has to be the breadwinner. But emotionally validating the other person is just caring, for me at least, caring to ask the other person. When my partner gets home, I ask him, how was your day? And actually sitting and listening to him without making comments, oh, that's nothing, you know what happened to me. That's not listening. That's not emotional validation. If he's had a hard day, according to me, it might be something really trivial. But saying, oh, that's stupid, come on, you're overreacting, that is not emotional validation. That is the exact opposite of emotional validation. So yeah, so that's what I'd say about emotional validation for both parties.
Cool. That's nice. As you noticed today, I'm going to a listening mode for different reasons. One of them, as you might have seen on LinkedIn, was in emergency just a few days ago. That's not even the main reason. Actually, some people will be like, "Oh, it's really still like a recovery." That's not even that. It's really because we are talking about like a topic that I found really amazing, really interesting, and that's really the topic of the personal relationship. How to maintain personal relationship. And yeah, so I'm really I'm really paying attention to whatever you say. Yeah, and that I like that concept of the five love languages, and really to take that actually to obviously improve the relationship with everyone, but especially with the special one.
Yeah. So okay, so then my question to Karthik would be, unless Tevin, you want to jump in, then jump in, because I love this topic just as much. So I think I will hog all the time. So Tevin, please jump in, okay? So yeah, Karthik, thank you for bringing up this book on 5 love languages. What practical tips now would you give someone who is not married, okay, to foster their relationship? Okay, all right. First, let's start with what tips would you give someone who's married, and what tips would you give someone who's not married to have a strong relationship, which will help them go ahead in their professional lives, in their business? How can they propel themselves there, and what can they do to have that strong relationship?
Just before you answer, when you Nikita, just to clarify, when you say when you make the distinction between the person who is married and this person who is not married, are you talking about someone that's married versus someone that's single, or someone
Yeah.
that is married versus someone that is in a partnership but with no official status?
Oh, no, I mean someone who's absolutely single. Sorry, yeah, good. Thank you for clarifying that, Tevin. Yes, so someone who's single, are they doomed for life and they're not going to progress in their career? Is that what we're saying? Probably not. So what can those people do? So just very practical tips for people who are in a relationship, let's just call it in a relationship, and people who are at the moment single. What can they do to have that experience in their business? To have that kind of, for me, yes, relationships are important because you get that support. So yeah, what can people do?
Yeah, very nice question, Tevin. Very nice question, Nikita. So, yeah, like I mean, when I was single and I was ready to get married, right? So I had done this homework. Okay, so probably I can share this the same thing uh, here. So I read this book, and as I said, and the men are from Mars and the women are from Venus, right? So I had some basic understanding on this, and then. So since mine was an arranged marriage, so I used to meet a lot of girls, right? And I mean, in India, we have two cases, right? Love and arranged. Okay, so since in arranged cases, parents see girls for us, and we have to just meet once, probably it can be few minutes or us, and then decide, okay, whether she's the one or not. Okay, so it's maybe a difficult decision. You might say, but that was my case, right? So, and I had this thought in mind. So whenever I meet any girl, right? So first thing is understand what are her ambitions, right? So where does she want to go, right? And see, I had my set of ambitions, my set of goals, and see how can she work gel along with me. So first thing is communication, right? This communication, I mean, it's easy to say communication, but during the implementation phase, this can be a major challenge for so many of us, right? So this communication plays a major role, right? Even before marriage or after marriage as well, right? So communicating where you want to go, what are your aspirations, what is the other person's aspirations, or okay, so if keeping these goals in mind, okay, so can you guys work with each other? I mean, it's, yeah, marriage is like you're having someone, I mean, if you are a businessman and you have a partner, right? So you both are working on a business, but it's a similar case in marriage, I would say. Okay, he or she will be a lifelong partner, it can be a friend, right? So if friends have to together work, right? So there has to be something common, right? And if even if it is not common, right, are you guys able to understand each other's why you're doing what you're doing? Okay, why the other person is doing what she's doing, right? So are you both in a common understanding, or you both are in sync, right? So this is a major I mean, if it comes to implementation part, this is one thing which I would recommend. And the second thing is understanding each other personalities, right? So I mean, understanding personalities in the sense, right, we have this I mean, at PIM, like our founder, which I am my mentor as well. So he shares about the CR. He does something called Career Impact Report, wherein we do a small assessment to figure out what kind of a personality you are, right? So we have 4 different personalities in that case. Okay, so I just take a minute to explain the 4 personalities. Okay, one is dominant personality. Okay, dominant in the sense you are like kind of a leader material, right? You run. I mean, for example, you are in a position where you can run companies, run teams, manage big teams. Okay, and you like administration and determination traits. The second one is you are an influencing personality, right? So influencing in the sense I mean, you crave for recognition, right? And like it can be you're talkative, or you are more likely to speak about know about the other person, or I mean, like if you come on Monday to office, the first thing the influencer would ask, how did your weekend go, right? The third thing is the third personality is steady personality, guys. This some 70 to 80% of the world has these personalities where they stick to the status quo, right? And they are very I mean, they're not easy to change. Okay, they like teamwork, they like to listen. Okay, and this is the third personality type. The fourth personality type is being a compliant, right? So it's like these compliant guys are more accurate, right? They are detail oriented, they like planning systems, all those things. So these 4 personality types are another important thing to know, right? And it so once you get to know the other person, if you are in a relationship, understand what kind of personality the other person is, right? If you both are like dominant personality types, it will be difficult to gel along on a long-term basis, right? This is just for example, I would say. So the two things, if I want to summarize, one is communication, and the second thing is understanding each other personality type, right? So this would help, I would say.
Okay. I I do think that it is important to understand the other person, and yeah, people who are single or in a relationship. I think what helps me as an individual, and I do advise others as well, that seeking someone who can support your emotional needs is really important, because when you're out there in the workspace, in the professional life, you need to know that whether things go well or whether things don't go well, you are supported. And you might not be actually supported in a financial or professional manner. The partner that you're relying upon might not be there to guide you, mentor you, coach you. But just knowing that you're accepted for who you are is what helps. So for me, I normally, and just because Saundarya made that point, exploring needs and connecting with each other, I had spoken about this to Saundarya as well. And the example that I gave, I normally use, is of my father. The reason I consider myself to be like a bold type, and the basis for which I make this statement is because I travel to about 60 countries all alone. I have worked in 8 different countries, and I do what I want to do. I did not hesitate to start a business, to move abroad, and none of that is simply because of one statement that echoes in my ears all the time. And that's one statement is from my father. And he keeps saying to me, it would be weird to translate it, but the literal translation of it is, nothing can happen to you as long as your father's alive. Okay, that's what he keeps saying to me all the time. Right from when I was born, my first words till date, the one thing I hear is, I've got your back. Okay, nothing can go wrong as long as your father's alive. I've got your back. So I know if I make mistakes, if I fall flat on my face, yes, the world might laugh at me, the entire world would laugh at me, but in that entire world, there's going to be one person who will not, and who will, in fact, give me a hand to get back up, help me dust myself, and be like, that's okay, I've got you. And that itself gives me that courage. So it's like my helmet. If you're going, I don't know, skydiving or any adventure sports, you always need your protective gear, you need your helmet, you need your safety straps and everything. And that's what my father has been all these years in my life, and he still is. Even though he's 5,000 miles away from me, I know no matter what happens, if I call him and say, hey, dad, this is what happened, good thing or bad thing, he'll always hear me out and be there for me. And that support gives me the courage to go ahead and take risks in my career, in my business, because I know no matter what, there's going to be one person who's not going to judge me, who's not going to criticize me, and is going to have my back. And that's what I seek in a partner. So when I was single, I had my father, so to give me that support. You might have a friend, you might have a colleague, you might have a mentor, a university professor, or someone that is that person to you who says, I've got your back, keep going. And when you're married, if that can be your spouse, that's the best thing you can ever have, because no matter what you do in your work out there, you come back home tired, and that person smiles at you and says to you, you know what, you've got this, I'm there. That, I think, makes a huge difference in your life. And for me, that is why relationships are so important, because you can have struggles out there, but you need to come back to a safety or a safe haven where you feel like, okay, I'm here now, no one's judging me, no one's laughing at me, people's got my back. So for me, that's something you need to create. And I think the best way to create it is that be that someone in somebody's life, and that someone will do the same for you, that reciprocity. Now, my father trusted me and was with me all these years when I was growing up, and now in his old age, I want to be that person for my father. He never asked me, he's never said to me, hey, you know what, now I'm getting old, please don't drop me off in an old age home and a care home and walk away. Please be there for me. No, not once. In fact, that's what he keeps saying. Carry on with your life. You don't have to be there for me. But I would never do that to my parents because they were there for me. So I think it's that reciprocity. Would you agree with me, Karthik?
I would say you're very lucky, Nikita.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of people have that. Definitely, I do agree. But seeking that in a partner is important. If you have, and if you don't have that in a married relationship, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But if you can be that person for your partner, then I'm sure, people are generally born good. No one's born evil. So if you do that for your partner will do that for me. And that's what I learned in my relationships with everybody. With Tevin. Tevin and I are really, really close. We haven't known each other for ages, but I consider myself really close to Tevin. And the same. I mean, I know if I need something, I can say this in front of how many of our people are listening to this, and will listen later to the recording, that I know Tevin's got my back. If I tell him, hey, I can't do this today, can you please create the event for me, or can you please run this by yourself? He'll not say, hey, but this was supposed to be 50-50. Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing your role? And that's a small one, but even big things, I know he's got my back, And the best way to have Tevin support me is by me being there for him. So there are days like he was in the emergency room. I didn't want him to do anything. I told him, I've got this today. And then there are times when, I was stuck in London and he was like, hey, you know what, Nikita, don't worry about it. I've got this today. So it's that reciprocity, because no one likes to be like the energy vampire or suck everything out from the other person and be like, okay, bye-bye now. Now it's my turn. I'm not going to do it. Most people reciprocate well. So be that person for someone, and that person will be your support as well. And that's what will help you in your relationships, I believe.
Absolutely.
I definitely like that approach. Rather than to see what people can do for you, to first be that sentence. I don't know who was the author of that sentence. Be the change that you want to see in the world. So that would be, if you apply that in a relationship, be in that relationship, the kind of a support that you would like to get yourself. So yeah, I like this approach, Nikita.
It was Mahatma Gandhi who said that. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that he was, and then I saw that he was not him. So I prefer to be like a cautious. But yes, I like it. I really like that sentence. And on the book actually that I have, it said that it's from Mahatma Gandhi. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely like that approach to relationship. Now, so we have spoken about relationship. Are we focusing on relationship on a kind of a romantic level, or we are talking about relationship extended, like a relationship, or we focus on the romantic level?
I wanted to
The
actually
reason, and
focus
the
on the
reason,
romantic level. Yeah. Sorry. Go on,
yeah,
Tevin.
perfect. And the reason I wanted to have that clarification is I would like to ask you how important do you think having like a personal romantic relationship is in someone professional success? What do you think is like having a partner, a kind of one of the element in that success formula? That's what I would like you to tell me.
Okay, Karthik, I'll let you go first, and then I'll say something. Go on.
Yeah, right. I mean, I had come across this saying somewhere. I don't remember where exactly. So the majority of, I mean, what you do during your offers, okay, determines majorly how your productivity is during your I mean, during your office hours, I would say. So let me repeat. So what you do, how you spend your time during your offers will determine majorly how your productivity is during your office hours, right? So since the majority of the time you spend on your work
Yeah.
or in your career, so I mean it's obvious that how well are, I mean I had this graph somewhere I was seeing, right? So how, I mean, if you have a good time at home, right, how your productivity increases. I think I somehow I don't have this graph here right now handy to show it, but yeah, that will definitely contribute for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm not completely sure that you answered the question. So the question was that is having a partner a condition to be successful? If I'm really straight, so
I
is
mean,
the answer
like
yes? What would be the answer?
this is a very confusing question, I would say, because we have people who are single. I mean, for example, if I want to take, you can take Abdul Kalam. He was single, right? I mean, our current prime minister is single as well. So it is very generic. I mean, it's very hard to answer this question. But yeah,
Don't
it
give us
varies.
a politician answer, Catherine. Don't give us a political answer. We want to know what is your mind. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you my answer, because at the end it's not right or wrong. I really think that actually having like a significant one is definitely an element that is part of the success. That's obviously that can create controversy, especially that I'm not in a relationship actually, But I also believe that being in that relationship is an element of success. Things are in a way makes are easier. Now that's what is quite interesting is that question would put a lot of people in a way in an uncomfortable position, but that would be for a kind of another debate. But personally, I think that's a yes. The answer is yes to that question. So to anyone out there who's not in a relationship, and I'm not going to blame anyone because I'm in the same situation, I would definitely say that yes, it might be interesting to investigate that path. Okay, now that I jumped first in the water, what do you say, guys?
Okay, so yeah, so again, when you were speaking, I was remembering these points from my coach, right? So he says there are like three dependencies, okay, for any human being. It is one is financial dependency, one is emotional dependency, and one is physical dependency, right? So when we are at a young age, right? So I mean, a lot of people may not, need not get or they may need not have emotional dependency, right? But the other two can be satisfied, right? But once you reach like 40, 50, or 60, right, afterwards the emotional dependency craves, right? So at every age or at every stage of your life, there is one dependency which definitely a human being will crave for, right? So I mean, even if you don't need a partner right now, I mean, at least for that age to fulfill those emotional dependencies, I would say, I mean, you can't, I mean, it's very difficult in India though to get married at the age of 50 or 60. So I mean, right. So when during this time, if we have that partner, I mean, that would fulfill all the dependencies. I mean, that is my understanding.
Could you repeat the three dependencies again? It was financial, emotional, and what was the third one?
Physical.
Physical. Okay. Okay. For me, Tevin, I would have to kind of go the other way. I do believe in love and I am married. So it's kind of weird that you being single at the moment saying that having a romantic partner definitely plays a role in your success. And me being married coming out and saying, well, I think it depends on the individual. Because there are people who would think that no, I need to be in a relationship, especially a romantic relationship, to be successful. Whereas I have seen people who think that having a romantic partner actually slows them down. So it is, for me, very much boils down to the individual. Because I have seen people who grew up in violent homes, seeing domestic violence and whatnot, and they think, no, this is definitely not what I want in my life. And I've had discussions with these people and I say to them, yeah, okay, but that happened to your parents, so that doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you. Now that you've known how it impacts people around them, you can choose to have a relationship that's different from what your parents had, right? And they keep saying that, yeah, but I can control what I do, but I have no control over what my partner would do. What if I get married and my partner starts yelling at me every single day? Then how am I going to react? What am I going to do? Right now, the way things are going great. I don't want to mess it up. And that's why they've chosen to be single, not even like flings or one night stand, nothing, just absolutely single and absolutely focused on their careers. But I equally agree with Karthik about the dependencies, because we are social beings after all, and we are hardwired to kind of want people to accept us, like us. And for that reason, there is some sort of emotional dependency, be it romantic or not, but some sort of an emotional dependency. And having someone, not necessarily a romantic partner, might do it. And there are people whose romantic partners or their spouses don't really believe in them. And I come from, I have seen a lot of Indian cultures, different communities where it is believed that the woman doesn't have to work. She should, in fact, stay at home and be a homemaker. And if you're a woman coming from that culture where your husband believes that you need to be at home, how are you then going to fulfill your dreams? So that's another thing. But and then there are people like me who, as much as my husband is supportive, but I still like to have Tevin to support me, and we don't have a romantic relationship, but I like his support. When I was growing up, and I still rely on my father's support just as much as I rely on my husband's support. So for me, having a romantic relationship is, good to have, but not a must-have. But having a relationship is a must-have, not necessarily romantic. So then we have a controversy right here, Tevin.
Yeah, no, I definitely quite like that clarification. What I say, and I would say, is that obviously I don't think that you need to have a relationship to have success, because obviously there are other things. But in a way, success for me, especially if you think about like a balanced life, it takes different elements. So you can have like 100% success when it comes to work, but there are other elements I think that really increase your level of success. And because you mentioned we are not meant to be on our own and to do everything on your own, I really think that you have like a kind of a healthy relationship can really have like a massive impact in your success. But I also believe it's better to be on your own than in bad company.
Yeah.
So that would be my approach when it comes to that question of relationship to be one element of that success formula. We are coming to the end actually of a conversation. I had like a few links for you, Karthik. Yeah, first of all, Karthik, obviously we can talk about relationship for ages and ages, and especially that is one element of that wheel of life. If people wanted to have it more information, better understanding, what's the best way to communicate with you?
Yeah, sure, Devin. I think they can. I have my LinkedIn profile here, so if you want to reach out to me in case of any queries, yeah, I think you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and also if you want to reach out to me on Insta, you can reach out there as well. My username is Growth with Karthik. That is my Insta username. So Growth with Karthik. So you can reach out to me either ways, LinkedIn or Insta. Yeah. You can
Okay.
also
Perfect. That's
visit.
that's good to know.
Sorry, you can also visit the website. Our website, we have growthexpress.in. That is also fine. Yeah.
Okay. So to sum it up,
What,
we
what is
actually,
what is the website?
Growthexpress.in.
Okay, growthexpress.in.
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah.
in order to yeah, just to see a little what you do. So what you mentioned is that people can go on Instagram, they can go on LinkedIn, or they can actually go on the website. That's great. That's definitely great.
Okay.
Is that
So I
correct?
thought we
Growthexpress.in.
Yeah, yeah, Devin.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, because we talked about quite a few things today, I just thought it'd be good to summarize what we talked about. And and we have some, I think, a great comment from Soundarya. some authentic learnings learned during a retreat on feminine and masculine energies for a better relationship. Nobody should steal a man's right of serving a woman. A man should be ready to serve a woman to his full capabilities. A woman should always support the man in all his goals and purpose of his life. Masculine is a power-driven, and feminine is love-driven. Both are energies that has complement each other for a successful relationship. A woman has high emotional stability. That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Soundarya. But yeah, just to sum it up today, some very practical tips for our listeners would be that see what gives you strength. I think a lot of people, well, all of us are wired to be emotional creatures, social creatures. So having someone who can support you would give you that emotional strength to keep going, even when you're tired, when you feel like I want to give up, but you'll have a reason to carry on because it's that person that you love who's standing behind you. So find that someone. It doesn't have to be, for me at least, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner, because if you're single, that doesn't mean right now you're doomed for failure. It just has to be someone who you believe in and who believes in you. And the way to go about it would be to be that person for someone. So if you're being the strength or the supporter for another person, your friend, your colleague, your sibling, your parent, then hopefully that person would be a support in your life too. So yes, certainly relationships matter. And that's why we have Karthik as a relationship coach here. So relationships do matter, because how you feel at home, if you're feeling really stressed at home with your spouse, with your relationship, it is going to affect the way you work, and vice versa as well. So having someone to support you would certainly probably propel your success in your work as well. So please do feel free to contact us and Karthik on growthexpress.in if you want more advice on relationships. And Karthik, well, I have spoken to Karthik personally, and he does give great advice, especially using the 5 love languages and the book that he mentioned, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. So that's brilliant. Do definitely get in touch with Karthik. But before we leave, Karthik, any final words from you?
Thank you so much, Nikita. I'm really glad that we had a nice conversation. And thank you so much, Tevin, also for inviting me again. So I hope whatever information we shared,
Welcome.
it added some value to you guys and the listeners, to the viewers as well. Thank you so much again for inviting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Karthik. Nikita, as always, thank you. And she will be there next Sunday, like always, on the clock at 6 p.m. BST. See you guys. Bye bye.
See you. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Take care.